All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Wednesday, June 8th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to see Nina. Great to see Johannes and all of us live inside the Cyber Group trading room. Reynaldo, one of our new trial members, joining us as well. For all of our new trial members joining us, perhaps coming off of this week's event with Fausto, welcome aboard. I'll give a quick welcome message in full just as we wrap up this meeting. But great to see students like Ron and Kathleen as well joining us here, and great to see all of us joining us once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. So, folks, let's hop right to it. We got a lot to talk about here, as we typically do during these afternoon meetings. Right now, just the focus in terms of what's on the screen, the HTCR stock. I'm still in it. I'm in from 2:30. I ended up getting in right off the shake, Nina. There we go. We'll talk about this in just a bit. I did take half out, though, before we started the meeting, just to ensure I could lock up some money. I missed out on the majority of this move, really, from the market open. So let's go over this trade to begin. I'd be remiss to not also mention the SPY, at the lows right now, dropped off going into the early afternoon, pretty flat, pretty rangy here for the most part across the morning, and then ended up snapping a bit down heading into the early parts of the day or early parts of the afternoon, and has only been dropping off since. But the HTCR stock on the screen here to begin with, this looks really good for the afternoon. We'll put this on the afternoon list just to begin. This also reminds me, especially now at this snap back up and above where we had the big selling off of like 260, reminds me of the pop that we caught yesterday on JAN. And really quickly to go back on that one, just out of nowhere, this JAN just exploded. It was very unassuming at the time, and it ended up breaking back above where we had big selling volume right off 350. And look at the end result. Well, it actually snapped back down shortly afterwards. So that is what you need to be careful here of on the HTCR trade. But, right here, actually off of 230 is where I ended up getting in, myself and Nina. Just earlier this morning on a coaching call, myself and Nina saw this run up, and it was running up without us. So, you have to figure when a stock is moving up and up and up, all right, well, it's going to pull back. It's going to, begin to build a support at some point, you'd imagine. So throughout the late morning, we're talking like 11:30, I think it was, Nina. We identified 230 as a potential support. You go back in the chat board earlier, I specifically wrote that. And actually, on top of that, just allow me a quick question, Nina, if you don't mind. Nina, how long have you been with CTU, Cyber Trading University? How long have you been a student here with us for? Nina got 40 cents on this trade just now. She was in from 240, got out at 280. Great exit from her. Nina says a couple months. That's it, right? So really quick, just for any of our newly enrolled students joining us here, or if you're just a trial member just joining us, testing our room out, here's the thing. Is everyone going to make instant money right away on day one? No. But it doesn't take an extremely long amount of time for you to consistently, know what to watch for. Whether you're going to end up in the plus or you end up taking a break-even trade or maybe even a tiny loss. But just to say, Nina and I identified 230 from earlier in the morning as a potential support. You see the line there on the chart. I had it there since that coaching session. Well, this ended up making a huge snap down just before, and you need to be careful. You can't just guarantee it, right? We weren't guaranteeing this type of snap back up, but we knew what to watch for in the level. And if we know that our best entries to buy a stock are directly after it breaks through a big level on the way up, you know what I'm talking about for all of my phase 2 students with me here in this trading room, then hey, it's worth the entry. And Nina jumped in. I jumped in. Hopefully, a couple of us otherwise jumped in. I took half out just to ensure I could lock up a little money. Like I said, I ended up missing out on this entire run from earlier this morning. So wanted to take some home, at least keep some in the game. But yeah, for right now, HTCR. We'll put this on the main watch list here for the afternoon. But, hey, if we go back to that Jan stock just before that I showed you, the one that had the similar snap, just be careful if the volume wanes back down here. That's exactly why I took part off. So if this ends up going to the moon as we continue this meeting, I'll be just as happy. But yeah, we'll see what happens coming up next. Next major resistance on this trade, you would assume to be off of 3. In fact, I'm actually pretty well equipped here for this meeting here. Let me bring up level 4 right now. Sometimes I get a little finagled here, but Yeah, right now in HTCR, you do have resistance off of 3. It started to lighten up here on the ask. So 3 is the key resistance. You do also have right off of like 290-ish, a lot of recent buying off of 290. So I would say 3 more than anything, but also 290 maybe on the way down once it makes the breakout. Use 290 perhaps here as a complementary support level. All right, so HTCR on the list. I don't know how much more we're going to find on the gainer side here, folks, that actually looks good. You know what I mean? Like this actually looks good for right now. There could be other stocks that are near the highs, like a QTT here. This was looking good earlier. It actually just made a pop just a moment ago, a little pop and pullback here for right now. It's still showing some life, so it doesn't hurt us to put the QTT as well on the list for right now. I like the HTCR for right now a little bit more, but we'll see if this could end up making the higher high as well, likely off of that $2 major resistance. I don't really see much on the daily chart here, so let me zoom out. The stock's been squeezed, or it can get squeezed up pretty nicely. It has in the past, back in the beginning of last year, but even from 55 down, I mean, we just saw it across this week on AERC, right? That was from 110 down to 2. So, for a stock like the QTT that went from 55 down, there is a chance to see some good continuation. There is. Not a guarantee, but there is a pretty good chance. And for that reason, I'll definitely be interested in this one. All right, we got the red box warrants here, number 3. We're not as interested in the warrants as much. We'll find red box the stock here in a bit, but we'll keep going through. And actually, if I just look at the price column here, I don't know what's going on here, but you got a lot of these cheapies here, so we'll tend to skip over all of them pretty much. IMPP is a familiar name, but you let me know if that's moving, folks. We'll keep it going here for the meantime. Reker, R-E-K-R, ended up making a nice slow move and then made a really nice squeeze up after, trying to push back up a bit here. It's tradable, but it's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. Trading nearly 4 million shares total on the day. That's a lot. That's good, but it's only trading about 3, 4, around there, 1,000 shares a minute. So in terms of a volatile trade, it's not exactly what you would want to find with limited time left in the day. So I'll pass on this one, at least for now. If it pops up anymore during this meeting, hey, maybe we'll reconsider. HCMI, same thing. This one's actually pretty close to the highs as well. It's right there. It's just trading kind of crap volume per minute. Don't have a great need to follow this just yet. Another one that ended up actually having a huge drop, that HCMI, from 45 down to sub 10. So I don't know. OCFT here, we'll kind of just skim through the gainer side. Otherwise, you'd imagine to find more as the markets are dropping off on the losers list here. So, let's see what's on that side in just a bit. But CYRN was a bust from earlier today. I saw one of us call out NutX earlier going into the afternoon. So looking at the daily chart, you could just see what happened to the stock going back into the end of May, early April. Stock ran from 5 up to 55. So in this regard, you're not expecting the same type of squeeze here. But if it can make a fraction of the type of pop that it made back then I'd be pretty content. So it's already up 21% around there. But I like it. It's trading a little bit more volume per minute compared to some of the others. So for right now, I'll put it on our list. Just if it ends up making the lower high from here and it slams back down, then I'd be more interested in even just taking it off. But I did see some of the Chinese education stocks like EDU, Got You, TAL make a push up earlier today, but man, they fell back down, right? This one, the EDU. No, EDU is actually holding pretty strong, surprisingly. Nice. Let me just go to the other one here, TAL. Yeah, TAL pop and drop, but the EDU actually holding pretty nicely for right now, in relation at least. It's trading about 14,000 shares a minute, which is pretty decent as well at this time of the day. A little slow the last 20, 30 minutes. You're just zooming in on the chart there, a little bit of a lower high. One might call it perhaps a technical bull flag in building, if it could pop higher coming up. But, I'll write it at least on the side list. I'll definitely come back to this by the end of this meeting. All right. So, folks, not to sound lazy here, but really, I mean, markets are dropping off right now. Unless if there's something really strong from the morning that still looks good, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to see what's on the loser side here. Oh, you know what? I'd be remiss to at least not cover the HUSA stock. So HUSA ended up making a really good push from earlier today. I know from earlier we were watching this on a coaching call as well. If not myself and Nina, then just we were following this right off the 7 level, if not mistaken. Unfortunately, I didn't jump in on this trade in time, and obviously, I strongly regret that. So, we had a lot of buying coming in from the end of yesterday afternoon on the HUSA trade. So the question that you would like to ask is, what happens if history could repeat itself? That's what you always ask. We take a lot of time in class to explain that a lot further and how to prepare for that type of question and entering the trade and setting your stop. But nonetheless, once this ended up re-breaking above that resistance, once history repeated itself, obviously this thing ended up making a huge run. So definitely coming up. I don't think it'll be today, but I'm sure tomorrow, Friday. Be on the lookout for 7 as a support level. If it drops back down again, 7 could be a really good support over time. But yeah, for the afternoon here, for the next 70 minutes or so, I guess it's still range bound. There's still a chance it could hold this range and then break to the highs again and run. There is a chance, right? Out of all the stocks that I'm kind of iffy on, I would put this one on the main list, if anything. So HUSA, I'll do that. So we got 4 on the main list so far, folks. HTCR, QTT, the HUSA, and then the Nut X I'll put at the bottom. But let's jump to the loser side right now. You got the IMTE down big, maybe a dead cat bounce, perhaps. I don't know. Looks like all-time lows, if anything, on this stock. Around there. This thing's a mess. Jeez. Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath and wait for this dead cat bounce for today, at least. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, but probably not today. All right, LYLT. This thing ended up making a big drop off from earlier today, still down near 46%. So this thing, I mean, really from the market open, you can say pre-market or right at the market open, this thing tanked. It dropped all the way down to sub 5. That's what happens when a stock breaks real all-time lows like you're seeing here. So, this one, no historical support from today or from, going into the open. But, yeah, pretty flat for the afternoon. It is shortable, so if it ends up snapping down, I guess there is an opportunity. But, again, I don't have a great need to put this on our list here for right now. Maybe tomorrow, I'll write this down. If it's still shortable tomorrow morning, then at least it's a stock that we can consider both ways up or down. So, in that regard, it's a good sideless stock, but not really so much for here for this afternoon. All right, so the AERC trade, pretty interesting, actually. I want to bring this up. One of my students, Alex, ended up private chatting this to me earlier today. It's funny because he didn't show the ticker on it at first, and I was trying to figure out what stock it was. I was like, Jesus. He said it's the AERC. So let me show you what happens on this AERC from earlier today. Talk about a good example of stacking or just a ton of volume joining the bid or ask. Here on the bid for the AERC trade, just out of nowhere. I mean, it's at several different price levels if you want to zoom in, but right in between like 780-ish, 790-ish, you can go as low as to as high as like 910, 915-ish here. Just a stack of these 40,000 share orders on the bid. Now, when you look at that, and you see all these icebergs on the bid, you would figure, well, hey, the stock is guaranteed to bounce, right? Or pop. Not guaranteed. Nothing is really guaranteed first. So you would like to think there's a pretty good chance it could pop. All right. But oftentimes when I see this, which isn't often, but for the times I do, it is quite often that we see the stock actually drop towards, if not the middle of that liquidity, then towards like 3/4, maybe all of the liquidity, and fills it. And then we get the bounce back up after. So yes, that is there for a reason. And for right now, so long as those orders are still there, we're going to treat that as a really good support. But don't be surprised if this slams throughout the afternoon and fills like most of that liquidity. We'll see. But it's not also just buyers out there. That potentially could be people covering a short position if they were able to get the shares from a much higher price. That could be people looking to try and support the stock naturally for a swing move back up. You don't know. don't rip your hair out trying, but just in the sense of this pattern, typically I tend to see the liquidity get, filled, the majority of it filled. So, this should look to drop lower, this 8 ERC trade. All right, so for right now, I don't know what we have here on the losers list here. I mean, markets are bouncing back up a tiny amount, so if there's any familiar names I see here right away, I'll definitely jump to it. But anything that's shortable, at least like GovX is a familiar name, but can't short it. So the cold ETF that was moving up earlier today. I forgot to cover that or go to it across the gainer side. So let me just jump to that here pretty briefly. Wow, talk about support. Holy smokes. All right, I was not expecting to see that as much. So, we were calling this out earlier inside the trading room saying this needs to break over, make a hard blast over 1960, 1960-ish, I think I wrote in the chat board. And that was earlier. It did. So we actually jumped in on a trade, myself and one of our students in coaching, and we ran it up surprisingly. It was on a smaller share size with an ETF. I'm not going to I don't like trading the ETFs as much. So, nonetheless, based off what we saw in level 4, at least it led to a pretty good trade. I wish I did trade more shares, but very simply put, folks, for Reynaldo and for all of our new trial members joining us here, here's a quick little lesson, if anything. For Leda and Nina and Grant and all of us, just answer this really briefly for me. When a stock breaks above resistance and runs from it, well, by the time it comes back down to that same level, what should we expect to see happen? Resistance turns into support. Jeez, and I was not expecting such a clean bounce right there. I didn't turn back to cold up until right now. So that was kind of a raw reaction you got from me there. So it goes to show that that's simple charting 101. But yeah, right now, cold is still near the highs, right? Making a lower high kind of right now. But I'll put this on our list for anyone that does well on this ETF. I'll make a quick little message for all of our trial members joining us here, coming off of Fausto's workshop over this week. But even just to our students here, you can't really use level 3 when it comes to trading an ETF. It's much harder to find the icebergs, point being. So unless if you're already someone who consistently makes money specifically on this ETF or other ETFs, and if you happen to have other strategies or indicators that you use, or if you use level 4 bookmap, like I just kind of explained briefly earlier, and you know how to use it, unless if you're one of those students, I would look to follow one of the equities on our list: HTCR, NutX, QTT, HUSA, maybe EDU. We'll see. But again, I just wanted to make that a point. But yeah, cold we'll put back on our list here for right now. Now, folks, if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that looks good, type it in the chat board. I didn't really go through much on the loser side here as much here because I didn't really see too many familiar names. So I'll definitely check out the side list for right now. My Neo, very staticky move right now. This is not looking good. AMC is like looking kind of better, but still not really too much to write home about on this. Pushed up from earlier. Nice trade from the morning, AMC. Airlines are kind of, following the SPY a little bit better here compared. So, I want to find something that's a little bit sharper on the way down. That could be a pretty good short should we see continuation within the market. This is not exactly a sharp move, but at least it's something that's following the market. So, if there's anything that looks good on the way down, folks, definitely let me know. John says Alibaba. Let's see. Well, that's on the way up, but that's a pretty good call. A little expensive, but in the sense of this being up as much as it is, and also just because it's expensive, that doesn't mean I'm not going to trade it. This stock has actually a decent order book for like a $115 stock, $119 stock for that matter. I need new glasses, but yeah, I mean, this definitely has good liquidity for as expensive as it is. So I like that part. Baba looks good. All right, I think that just about wraps it up, folks. Just going to check out Benzinga Pro here, my scanner real time before we wrap up. The EFOI, not really making any good move there. And I don't have it set to the losers list here, if anything. All right, folks, I think that just about wraps it up for me here. So if there's anything else, hey, we'll look to call it out, work together as a team on it inside our live trading room. Brian, very good reminder, and I appreciate you bringing that back up. I know that Michael had asked about that earlier in the afternoon. So NEO earnings tomorrow morning, right? So I think you folks know what I'll be watching tomorrow morning and trading. So don't ask me what I'm trading tomorrow, folks. You know what I'll be trading tomorrow morning. I appreciate that, Brian. But for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you have any questions, feel more than free to send over an email, josh@ctutrading.com. Then otherwise, just if you are interested in joining our live trading room, go right down to the yellow banner below on the bottom of the stream. To all of our new trial members joining us right now, first and foremost, just make sure that you folks call the phone number that I had listed in the alert just earlier. I'll repost that message right now. But if you do not schedule an appointment with your education advisor, well, just straight up, you're doing yourself a giant disservice. They're just here to help you, just answer any questions and detail how the trading room works. But otherwise, though, as a new trial member, we do not want or expect you to be trading or risking any of your hard-earned money. This is not the time to be trying to make the big bucks. This is the time to just be observing and seeing, just based off the chat, based off the audio commentary that we'll be providing, if this is something that you could do long term. Now, for students like Nina, who's only been here a couple of months, who had a really good morning and afternoon so far, the proof is often in the pudding, right? Michael says last year, side list, DK and G having a good day. I forgot about that. I keep on forgetting about DraftKings the whole day. Popped up earlier like 3 times in the morning. I forgot about it. Just kind of rangy here, Michael. So if it was closer to the highs there, actually, I'd be a little bit more interested. But, if we get a bounce back up in the market, then this will definitely be something I'll jump to, quick. But for right now, folks, I like what we have. Oh, and then lastly, geez, I can't get off the mic here. EDU. At least this one's closer to the highs, right? Compared DraftKings to EDU. Both are like range bound, a little slow right now, but in relation to being near the highs, EDU's a little bit closer. So I will slip the EDU trade on our main list here at the end. Skip asking, what am I trading tomorrow? All right, folks, that about wraps it up for me. Again, Rich is out today. Just one last day here, folks, but no audio from 3 to 3:30. We typically have audio from 3 to 4 o'clock for all of our new trial members. One of our instructors is out with COVID. He will be back in tomorrow. We wish him well. But just if you could bear with us just for one more day, folks, today, no audio from 3 to 3:30. I will be back on myself right at 3:30, though, to wrap things for us up heading into the market close. I'll talk to you all then. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.